Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for another season review. Yes, it's that time of the year. We're banging them out left and right, and we are up to QPR. Going to have a look at QPR's season in the Championship. Just as a quick plug, this is number 10 in my 30 season reviews. We are getting through them nice and quickly. Hopefully, you'll be fully understanding of the fact that being I've got so many to do, we are having to do these slightly before the season ends. But as with all the reviews I've done so far, we know the story. The final position may change one or two positions. We will have a look at that. But we know the story, we know the summary, and we can look in quite some detail at the 2021 season and what next for QPR in a very much a season of two halves, but they've got it round the right way, particularly in terms of their manager Mark Warburton, where the improvement happens in the second half. So presumably, I think we're going to get some thumbs up from Rangers fans and some optimism for next season. Here's the beginning, and I've put goodbye goals. That is last season, 14th place, but look at that, 67 for, 76 against. So QPR was goal haven for fans last year. Is that 140 nearly? Yes, 67 and 70, 143 on the goals. Incredible stuff. And look up there, Eze, Hugill, Wells and Samuel. Obviously, I'm aware that Wells went off to Bristol City in the close season. But those are the four top scorers, goals, assists, etc., goal contributors at QPR last season. And none of them are going to finish this season at QPR. I suppose the way they space out is quite good for Rangers to cope with, in that Wells was the first to go in the Christmas. Hugill went, obviously, when his loan expired at the end of the season from West Ham. But then the big one, Eberici Eze, goes off to Palace for the thick end of 20 million. And then Bright Samuel's going to go in January. So, some sense that Mark Warburton had to really retool this QPR team. He's going to still have Ilias Chair, who's the other sort of decent attacking part of that team that scored 67 goals or whatever it was the previous season. But you can see the task here. I do understand. I used to get very annoyed when Ipswich one season sold Darren Bent, Shefki Kuki and Tommy Miller, who'd scored 50 goals in between them the previous season. My argument was always, look, they're not going to replace them with nobody on the pitch, but a drop-off in quality from 14th as well, not from, chasing the playoffs last season, was potentially problematic for Rangers. Here is the post-Eze rebuild. You can see Ryan Manning is going to leave as well. Grant Hall and Tony Leisner go in as well. Presumably, those two centre-backs there. Mark Warburton feels he can't play those centre-halves in the way he wants to. We know about Warburton split centre-backs using the centre-halves as ball progressors in terms of short passing. I know Neil Warnock will also use Grant Hall as a ball progressor, but in a slightly different way, of course. And here is the spend. Rob Dickey, 2.5 million. Lyndon Dykes, 2 million. Macaulay Bonne, 2 million. All 24 years old. Interesting where they're coming from as well in terms of Livingston in Scotland with Dykes. Charlton relegated from the Championship in League One. Oxford League One as well. So I like that. I like that as a principle. You take the player you've developed in Eze, sell him for 20 million and invest 6 or 7 million in 3 players who you think are a good age, who can increase in value. And maybe Macaulay Bonne aside, certainly with Dickey and now Dykes towards the end of the season, I think that recruitment's good, especially add in there George Thomas, Albert Adoma, Luke Amos, unlucky with injuries, Chris Willock, that's a good one as well, undisclosed there, Charlie Kellman, Tom Carroll came in as a free agent. So I quite like the cut of Warburton's jib on the recruitment there. a big proportion of the money going into 3 players. We don't know how much went in for Willock. That's an undisclosed. But I think if you're looking to sell a star player, obviously you need to bank some of the money and reinvest. You need to have something to show for it. And it's virtually half a new squad, isn't it? With that Eze money. I say half a new squad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the ins. Look, most of a new team if you're going to play them all at once. So that was the recruitment. But the rest of 2020 is not impressive for QPR. You can see there only 4 victories. Forest, Cardiff, Derby and Rotherham. So not only are there just 4 victories, but anyone who's followed the Championship will also know they got teams in bad form. They got Forest at the tail end of Lamucci, Cardiff at the tail end of Harris, Derby at the tail end of Koku, and Rotherham have, well, we'll see whether they stay up on Saturday, won't we? Recording this on Wednesday, 5th of May. So that's a poor start to the season, and the magic number for me always is a point per game, 45 to survive. If you get 46, you're probably going to be okay. But you can see QPR there at 22 games, 21 points, 1 game shy of the halfway mark. And yeah, just not doing it at that point. And a real adjustment for the QPR fans from, been a parachute team reasonably recently and been in the Premier League reasonably recently. And obviously the Parachutes are done now. Good loans last season. And a bit of a worrying time there going into Christmas. Is it now going to be, QPR are going to be a bottom 8 team and fighting to get away from there? So worrying times, I would suggest. Lyndon Dykes not firing particularly up front, not scoring from open play. I think Amos got the injury. Dickey sort of bedded in. Lots of complaining about Lee Wallace, the left wing back, as opposed to Ryan Manning, who was there for a lot of last season. So it did feel like Rangers had taken a step down going into the end of 2020. Here is the January sort out. Now, Bright Samuel leaves, goes off to Turkey. They did a deal, didn't they, that was going to kick in at the end of the season, but we knew that was going to be untenable and he was going to leave anyway. So Samuel goes. That's the last of the big 4 in terms of the goals from last season. You can add Manning in as well. So 5 players from the team that was from the first half of last season, all gone. And in comes De Vries on loan, Johansson on loan, Field, Austin also on loan, and Joe Walsh in from Gillingham as a young goalkeeper. And you can see I've put the pictures of Charlie Austin and Steph Johansson up there. And this was just great business. I know it's cause and effect, and we'll try and point out the other reasons for the trend up that's about to happen. But it does very clearly coincide with Austin and Johansson arriving. Johansson is a Championship expert. He's done it with Fulham, been promoted twice now. Remember him in the midfield with Kenny and McDonald. Doesn't tend to get used in the Premier League, but tends to know his way around the Championship very well, especially in a team that wants to circulate the ball. Jukanovic's Fulham were probably one of the kings of that, to a fault sometimes, in 17-18. And Austin has done it at the top level, hasn't he? For QPR as well. So you have this combination of quality, experience, charisma as well. He's a big character and a leader in that way. And an ex-Rangers player. Just really good. Both in their 30s, just dropping them into that team that wasn't necessarily performing. And it really, really is going to work. I'm not going to put the entire trend up towards the end of the season down to the arrival of those 2 players. Although, look at QPR without them and look at them with. But we'll try and discuss in more detail why this happens. A frankly brilliant second half of the season. Look on the right, first of all, and you'll see that Rangers have gone from sort of bottom 6, 7, wasn't it, in the first half of the season. In the second half of the season, that table there starts with that game at Luton for QPR. Austin's debut, he scores, go figure. And only Watford and Norwich, the top 2, obviously it could change at the weekend. Brentford, Barnsley could go and surpassed them. Only Watford and Norwich since January the 12th, the top two, have scored more points than QPR. Look at that run to begin with. 6 wins in 7. You thought the drop-offs come in there with the draw against Preston and then defeats against Birmingham and Barnsley. But then just consistent. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins then in the last 13 games to go with the 6 wins in 7. And it's just very, very impressive. And maybe De Vries helps as well. Obviously, Austin and Johansson. Austin's influence then on Dykes, who improves as the season goes on. Willock starts to come in and make stuff happen a bit more. With the team working a bit better, Chair is having more influence. And I'm sure Rangers fans will have their own theories, but it does feel like the team was ready to bang in the second half, and it just needed that bit of extra quality and that bit of extra status given to it by Austin and Johansson, and maybe that then sparked lots of other things because it is quite the forgive me if you're offended by this term, but quite the sort of bipolar season, very different halves. And I'm thinking back to Sheffield Wednesday last season, who did this in absolute reverse, didn't they? A really good first half of the season, a really bad second half. You'd certainly rather be doing it the other way round, so you know that there's a sense of improvement as it pertains to time elapsing. So there are the final stats. Look, as I said, I've got 30 of these to do, so we are reviewing with 1 game of the season remaining. You can see Rangers, the highest they can finish there is 8th. They could get past Cardiff. Luton, it would need a 9-goal swing for Luton to overtake Rangers on the last day. They could drop below Borough or Millwall. But look, maybe famous last words. Let's assume it's going to be a top 10 finish for QPR. And given where they were, particularly going into the new year, and big picture as well, 14th last season, seeming to tail off after parachutes had gone, selling star players. This is good. This is a thumbs up for Rangers. Is it sustainable? I wonder. We'll talk about that in a sec. That's the team there that played the last game over on the right as you're looking. Dieng, Barbet, I think, has played every minute. De Vries, Dickey, who's been excellent. Kake, Wallace. Wallace is the captain, hey? Johansson, Chair, Willock, Dykes, Austin. You've got to like that final 5 I just called out. And the team that starts the season is never the team that finished the season. Good bit of tweaky recruitment at halfway in the January window, and a really, really strong second half of the season. It's a big thumbs up from me. So here is my summary. Move on from 1920, as in Eze, Wells, Hugel, Samuel, add Manning in there as well. All going to go. New team, slow to develop. Understandable, I guess. New players in. We know Warburton's very high on drilling and data-led sort of systems of things. Not that I've ever watched one of his training sessions, but this is what I've heard. So that takes time, and it did take time. The January recruitment, just key. Austin, Johansson and De Vries. Extra quality meets previous good work. And this is me saying it's not just as simple as you sign 2 players from the Premier League in January and everything's fine. I heard it described very, very well about TV, basically. So if you're writing EastEnders or whatever, if you do good work for 3 weeks, the ratings aren't good in those 3 weeks you do the good work. It comes afterwards, doesn't it? And I do liken that to football. If you're doing good pattern of play and good training for a long time, sometimes it then comes later and you get rewarded for the work you've done behind the scenes in the first half of the season, in the second half of the season, as the muscle memory kicks in and the season grows. So who knows? I do think it's too simple to just put it down to Austin and Johansson arriving. Strong finish, above expectations. I think we would all agree. Potentially could be 8th, 9th, 10th. So now, build around youth. This is what's going to happen going forward. Dieng, the keeper, Dickey, Kake, Willock, Amos, Chair, Bon, all 25, 20, I think Dieng's 26. And then all good ages. And we know in the Championship, with the relative inequality of wealth distribution, that it's not just about having good players playing in your team, getting you goals and getting you points. It's about having good players that you can sell on at a profit to then rejig your squad exactly in the way Mark Warburton seems to have done quite well with the sale of Eze to Palace. Get star loanees back. That's key, isn't it? I'm sure if you said to every Rangers fan, can you do a deal for Charlie Austin? Can you do a deal for Steph Johansson? They'd probably say yes right now, although it would depend on what that meant going out of the club as well. We know Austin was on a fair old whack at West Brom. I think the contract is up though, so there may be a chance they could do that deal. Who knows what Fulham will do with Johansson? They tend to take him back when they come back to the Championship, don't they? So we'll see in that regard. And the last one, absorb another big sale. You have to do it in the Championship, whether that is Chair or I don't know if Kake or Hammerlinen improves or someone wants Dieng, the goalkeeper. Who knows? You have to be able to sell and adapt. They've done it well this season, haven't they? They've taken Eze, who was a great Championship influence, just really turned the screw in the Championship. Goals, assists, could dominate a game. Really dangerous player. And I like it. I didn't mention Dickey as well, where you've got a English centre-half at 25 who can play. And we've seen the likes of Adam Webster, who I would describe it. Okay, Adam Webster's very much two-footed as well. You get that. Maybe a little bit taller. I don't know if he's taller than Dickey. But look, I would put Dickey in that same group in as Webster. And he went to Brighton from Bristol City for a fortune. So I think they've done it quite well in terms of churn. And Brentford have been the kings of this, haven't they? And over time, they're now able to spend £5 million on Mbuemo and Tony and Godos, etc. Janssen, expensive players now. All because keep selling, keep signing, keep selling, keep signing. So we'll see. Will it be Chair? Will it be Dickey? Who goes next? Rangers fans, don't be scared of a sale. Hopefully this season proves that. As much as I'm sure you all loved watching Eze, you know, you got to keep the club moving forward. And when 3 teams come down every season with £45 million year one parachute payment, you know you're up against it from the off. Here are some tweets from some Rangers fans. At the real Vicky T, start of the season kept losing, but only Jess manager said keep the faith. We'll start winning, and we did keep the faith and started winning. In the past, we would have sacked the manager and been happy about staying up. Ben Summer, lots of early games by fine margins, lots of early games, which became the manager's catchphrase towards Christmas. Started looking sluggish, suffered initially for losing Eze Wells. New signings hadn't settled, loan signings in winter galvanised us to kick on, as others have said. Kieran, 2 completely different halves of the season. First half, we could barely put the ball in the net. Our defence was weaker than the Tesco bag for life. After Christmas, when we brought in the loans, the impact was seen straight away. The impact of Austin on Dykes is phenomenal. And there you go. That parlays into my point about it's not just the quality players. It's what does working with a Charlie Austin day in, day out do to a Lyndon Dykes, who's 25 at a different point in his career. Aaron, a mixed season that's just got better and better and exceeded any expectations. Rangers have to sell players at times to create revenue, but they use the Eze money well, and also use the loan market in January to add much needed experience. Developing youth is key going forward. QPR fans and players TV home and away. What a long Twitter handle. Season of 2 halves. First half we were like relegation candidates, possibly until we brought in the loan signings and players then stood up to the plate with their performance in the second half of the season to create a top half finish and carry on into next season. And I mean, to that point, carrying on the second half of the season form, it'll be an automatic challenge. It's going to be hard to do that for essentially, we've already done 23 games of it with Rangers, but if they can add 46 games of near 2 points per game form, they'll be in the shake-up for promotion. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's how good the season has been in the second half. Talking Rangers, a fantastic season for the R's, one that could have ended in a top season finish given our form in 2021, but a relegation battle given our form in 2020. A top 10 finish is big progress. Fingers crossed that comes to pass. I'm hoping that this season will provide the same platform for further improvement next year. So, good. I think I've got the feel, having read those tweets. Thank you to all those people that got involved. So, I think it's a thumbs up for me for QPR. Look, will they put, I can't even remember what the number was, nearly 2 points per game across an entire 46-game season? Probably not. Will they have to sell someone in the summer? Probably. But we've said with Warburton, it does feel very systematic. There's good young players gone in there. And there still feels like there's a bigger upside for Kake, Hämäläinen, Dickey, Macaulay Bond. Doesn't really feel like he scratched the surface. Yet Lyndon Dykes going to get a whole season out of him. So there's definitely a lot of potential if there's competent decisions made and not too much in terms of chaotic ins, outs, etc. But particularly with the second half of the season, it's got to be a big thumbs up for Warburton from the Rangers fans this season. It certainly is from me, and we'll see how that progresses next season. And that is my QPR season review. Hope you enjoyed that. If you're new to the channel, obviously QPR are going to be in the Championship next season. I'm going to be here next season, so hit that subscribe button. We cover all of the Championship here on this channel. Previews, reviews, watch-alongs, all of that good stuff. And also the 5 dearly departed teams that have got out of the Championship and into the Premier League on my watch. So far next season, that's going to be Watford, Norwich, Aston Villa, Leeds, and probably the playoff winners, because we're expecting West Brom, Fulham, and to join Sheffield United in going down. So please get involved in the comments, QPR fan or not really. I'm interested in anybody's views. Let's keep them balanced, sensible, and outrage not really necessary over here. We try and make this a good place to discuss football, particularly the Championship on YouTube. Right, that is my look at QPR's season. Thank you for watching, and it's a big over and out from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button, and to be notified every time we upload, ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.